This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter, and welcome to another Sports Catastrophe Birthday Boy. And the birthday boy for today, April the 17th, is a former NFL quarterback who was an icon and basically the best quarterback in Cincinnati Bengals history. Apologies to Ken Anderson and maybe Joe Burrow, too. But I mean, this guy played 10 years with the Bengals and then a few others with the Jets and Cardinals organizations. He got the 7 Pro Bowls. He got the Bengals to the 1989 Super Bowl, where they lost narrowly to the San Francisco 49ers, who needed a big final drive to do it. So he spent 9 years with the Bengals, and then he went 3 years with the Jets, 1 season with the Cardinals, and then back to Cincy. However, his football career is not completely why he's honored today. Boomer is a football analyst for the NFL Today on CBS and part of Showtime's Inside the NFL Stuff. He's actually a sports radio host with Geo on the Boomer and Geo fan thing on WFan. He is 61 years old and he is Boomer Esiason. Boomer's nickname was when his mother would react to his constant kicking in the womb and all that. Unfortunately, his mother died of ovarian cancer at age 37. But he was 7. His father would never remarry and would raise Boomer and his 2 sisters. All that. Boomer went to college football playing for the University of Maryland, which, quite frankly, has had a lot of up and down seasons and all that. Maryland was the only college to give him a scholarship, so he did well, and he makes 17 school records for the Turtles. The Turtle Pins. In his career at Maryland, he threw for 42 touchdowns, 27 interceptions, and all that. He helped Maryland win against North Carolina and get the ACC championship. He graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in 1984. So, the question is, would Boomer be drafted? Yep. But here's the funny thing. The 1984 draft was the first time since 1974 that a quarterback was not selected in the first round. It's amazing. All the players and all that. The first round did okay, giving up plenty of Pro Bowlers like Irving Fryer, Carl Banks, Bill Moss, Wilbur Marshall, John Alt, Louis Lips, and William Roberts. Boomer was the first quarterback drafted, and the Bengals went after him and took him. Since he was looking for a replacement for Ken Anderson, who was starting to falter. I mean, since he had 3 first-round picks, and took Ricky Hundley from Arizona as linebacker, Pete Cook, a defensive end from Maryland, ironically enough, and Brian Blados, an offensive tackle from North Carolina. So that was kind of funny and all that. And no quarterback was drafted in the first round. Steve Young actually could have been the first quarterback in the 84 draft, but he decided to sign with the USFL with Los Angeles. So anyway, it was amazing. He would get his first start in October 1984 against the Oilers and help the Bengals win. He would take over for Ken Anderson permanently as the team starting quarterback in 1985 when they lost to Dan Fouts 44-41. But Esiason did pretty well for himself, and he did run the difficult no-huddle offense devised by Bengal head coach Sam Wyche before Buffalo even thought about it. All that. However, in 1986, he would set the record for most passing yards by a Bengals quarterback at the time, with almost 4,000 yards. He was close. Ken Anderson did not. This was the last time Ken Anderson played an NFL game. I think Ken Anderson never played for a team other than Cincy. Anyway, Boomer would lead the Bengals to the best scoring offense in the NFL in the 88-89 season, getting them the AFC division title. Cincy would take care of Seattle and Buffalo to make the Super Bowl. in Super Bowl 23 against the Niners. It was a rematch of the Super Bowl 7 years ago, which Kenny Anderson was the starting quarterback. But both of those Super Bowls were the same. Joe Montana in San Francisco. Cincy could have won the game if it wasn't for Lewis Phillips dropping a sure interception in the end zone. The Niners would march in their final drive, as Joe Montana would give it to John Taylor to win the game. Boomer almost got a pass to Chris Collinsworth, but it was broken up. He would still do pretty well, all that. But by 93, the Bengals weren't sure about their team and all that. So they decided to trade Esiason to the Jets for a third-round pick in 1993, which didn't work out. Boomer would try his best to help the Jets out in the mid-90s. They were close in 94, getting to a playoff spot, but then the fake spike by Marino screwed them over. He had to deal with 3 different head coaches, Bruce Coslet, Pete Carroll, and Richie Kotite. Richie Kotite. Unfortunately, in 95, he was injured in a game against Buffalo, in which Bruce Smith had actually ended up catching Esiason under his face mask and all that. Esiason would have a severe concussion, and he would be the first NFL player to enter a concussion study during the season. The Jets would release him. Ironically, that was the season in which the Jets went 1-15 without Boomer Esiason. Boomer went to the Arizona Cardinals as a free agent. He actually passed for 522 yards. At that time, that was the 5th highest passing yard day in NFL history when they beat Washington. Boomer thought that he was going to retire. But then, Cincy decided to give him one more chance to play for them. And he was effective. Jeff Blake was just pathetic. But the funny thing is, in that one season, he threw 13 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Amazing. The Bengals were 3-8 with Blake under center. And with Esiason, they won 4 of their last 5 games. They didn't make the playoffs, but still, they were 4-1 without him. And Cincy wanted him to keep playing. But he just couldn't do it anymore. His career stats: in 187 games, he threw for 37,920 yards, 247 touchdowns, 184 interceptions, with his time with the Bengals, Jets, and Cardinals. Esiason got to 4 Pro Bowls and holds several career records for left-handed quarterbacks, including most touchdown passes and passing yards. Ironically, it's like you think Steve Young would have those records, but no, he doesn't. All that. Being a lefty's hard and all that. And Esiason is the only quarterback to have a franchise record in single-game passing yards with 2 teams. With the Cardinals, he threw for that 522-yard game I talked about. And with the Bengals, he threw for one game for 490 yards. That's still the record. I'm surprised Joe Burrow didn't set that record. Anyway, Boomer would be in a few Family Feud episodes. He co-hosted Miss America one time and the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in 2002. He would co-host Super Bowl's greatest commercials from 2012 to 2019. He'd be in Blue Bloods. Part of Kidden Bowl from the Hallmark Network. But his broadcasting career was huge. He would be a color analyst for the World League of American Football while he was still an active player. He was a color commentator for ABC's Monday Night Football in 98-99. And it was canned by ABC. Westwood One Radio would make him the lead analyst for radio broadcasts. He would broadcast every Super Bowl from 2000 to 2018, which is amazing. I know it was on the radio, but, I mean, to do all those Super Bowls in a row. Like, you can't do that on TV because of the fact that the Super Bowl rotates between the 4 major networks: ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox. Anyway, he broadcast Thursday Night Football September 2018 and then just left. But he's still an analyst for the NFL today on CBS. So this was huge and all that. But of course, his big show is the W. Van morning show. Boomer was actually the tryout after Don Imus got booted for his comments about Rutgers women's basketball players as nappy-headed. You know what? His words, not mine. Anyway, he was the permanent host for Imus by August 2007, and him and Craig Carden would do it, the Boomer and Carden show and all that. So it was amazing. The Boomer and Carden show was superb and all that. Unfortunately, Carden got booted because of operating a concert ticket Ponzi scheme. Esiason was the sole host, but then when Greg Giannotti came in, they called it the Boomer and Gio show. Esiason has 2 children, Gunnar and Sydney. His daughter Sydney is married to Islanders forward Matt Martin. Well, at a Jets minicamp in '93, Boomer was notified that his 2-year-old son was taken to the hospital with breathing difficulties. But it was good because Gunnar was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis. He takes many medications, goes through treatments, and graduated from Boston College. Esiason is a giant hockey fan, and despite the fact that his daughter is married to a New York Islanders player, he cheers for the New York Rangers. Fantastic. And he plays a lot of rec league hockey games a year. Gunnar, I'm surprised, being cystic fibrosis, he's still a decent athlete and all that. That's pretty good. And then he did the Boomer Esiason Foundation to help with Gunnar after Gunnar got cystic fibrosis, trying to find a cure for it and all that. So Boomer Esiason was a Boomer Sooner. No, he was a Boomer Terrapin. And that's all there is to it. Good on him for having a good radio show, but, it's weird, isn't it? Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond Adu.